Hello from California. This is Sandy from Messy Papercrafts, your number one online store with the most exciting crafting items. And welcome to this week's episode of What's in This Box. And today I feel a little bit silly, to be honest, because if you love stamps and stencils, and especially if you love some kind of grungy or industrial or retro look, then this person doesn't need any introduction because we have Tim Holtz in the house. So you might wonder why you have to watch another unboxing video of these stamps, as you've seen them already. And I'm not in any competition with Tim Holtz because he does obviously the best job when talking about his own stamp designs. But I thought I'd do an unboxing video anyway because we also have some of the older stamps in. So maybe that's interesting for you as well. So let's get this all out. So as you can see, we have a lot of new stamps in the house. And let's start with the new ones by Tim Holtz. As I said, if you've never heard of him, then I definitely recommend the live YouTube demo that he just did a few days ago. And if you don't follow this channel, I definitely would do because he's amazing. And he has his team of makers and they all do these amazing cards and lots of different projects. And it's always stunning to see because sometimes, even for me, and I'm doing this as a business, that I'm buying stamps and stencils and paper and so on. So I'm looking at the stamp and I'm like, I wonder if people will like that. And then if you see Tim's live show where he has all these different makers showing these projects where they worked on, then you're like, oh my God, I need this stamp because everything they did is just so amazing. So that's about Tim, and let's talk about his stamps now. So this is pretty cool. This is called Floral Elements. And as you can see, we have all these different flowers and stems and leaves, and they're really fantastic to put together, like as a bouquet, or you can do them in the background, or you can create them either like more grungy and more scribbled, like they're here, if you just want the outline, or you can also paint them. And the outcome that I saw by the makers is just stunning because there's a lot of variety. So this is a really great stamp set to have. Next one up, I believe this is probably a favorite by many. This is called Eccentric. And if you've ever seen the rub-ons by Tim Holtz, they basically copy that. So personally, I love the rub-ons. I love this style. So I bought them before. However, then I don't really want to use them because once the rub-on is gone, it's gone. And then you have to buy a new package, right? So with these stamps, of course, you can use them over and over and over. So it's like a good investment to do so because here you can create so many different looks. And yeah, you get a good usage out of this if you're like me and you have a rub-on and then you're too scared to use it because you don't want to waste it. So this is an amazing stamp set. And Tim pointed out in his live video that it took actually a lot of finesse to make this because all of these cuts are like really close together because I wanted to fit a lot of these things from the rub-on design onto the stamp. And I think it's amazing how Stampers Anonymous did this. So they're really tied together, but nevertheless they cut really well. And I just think it's such a great design. So that's definitely one of my favorites. The next one, also amazing. I saw a lot of great makes with this. So this is called Botanical Collage, which makes sense because it's botanical. It has these flowers, a butterfly, another flower. And then you have these scribbled text overlay, almost like a news article or like a magazine or something behind this. Very retro and vintage. And yeah, I just think the possibilities here are endless. So this is amazing. The next one, also really good to have because I think you can never have enough sentiments, especially when they're a little bit different. So everybody might have happy birthday, happy anniversary, and so on. But sometimes we don't really want to produce anything for a specific occasion. and then we just need something that's maybe a little bit more inspirational. So here we have start somewhere, believe in yourself, hope is never lost, best day ever, you do you. That's what Tim says a lot. So I think this is really nice. And then of course you also just have hello there, or be authentic, limited edition, and love you. Just like simple phrases, but I think this is really nice because these letters, they look like handwritten, like a really nice calligraphy, and makes it a bit more maybe quirky or a little bit more of a mixed media look, not too clean, just a little bit more personal, so to speak. So I really think this is a great set of stamps to have as well, and it's called Noteworthy. So really, really nice. And then the last of these big stamps, this is actually interesting because I'm glad that Tim did his live, because when I ordered this, I didn't know that this came with a grid block. So this is an acrylic grid block, and it's not as thick as like your typical grid block. So here it's kind of a thick one, and this is a little bit thinner. You probably don't see that well, but it's kind of like maybe like this big, so it's pretty thin. But I think Tim said that he prefers this when the acrylic block or this grid is a little bit thinner, because you have a bit more of a feeling when you press the stamp down. So with these thick ones, it's often easy to just go overboard and smash the stamp down, because you kind of feel like you really have to put the pressure in, because this is quite thick and you don't really have a good feeling or like a good sense of how heavy you should press down. And this is really thin, so that's why he prefers these grid blocks that he brought out. And this is called Bubbles, and I saw really great cards made with this. And as I said, it just adds to the background. It gives you just this kind of interest, but without that you have to think of too many different stamps. So here you have this all on one. And as I said, really nice that it comes with this grid block already. So these were the new stamps, and these are the stencils. So let's talk about these big ones first. So this one is called Linked Circles, and it looks like that. And I think this is a really cool design, almost a little bit industrial or something like that. So I think this makes a really interesting background. And if you don't want these straight borders on your card or whatever project you have, obviously you can just use the middle portion here with some texture paste or color or whatever you're using. Or I also see sometimes in the makes, people, they just tear off a piece of paper and then they put it on here and on here. So if you then paste through, then you don't really have these like straight borders, and it's kind of like a bit of an ripped edge look. So that might make it easier if you ever run into trouble and think, now I just have this straight line here and that doesn't look that good. So you could just tear off paper on both sides and then use this here in the middle, and this way you just have more of an organic edge, so to speak. So really cool design. The next one, also really nice. This is called Focus, and it looks like that. And I wonder why it's called Focus. Maybe because, I don't know, your eyes have to focus on it, because it's a very like straight line design. I'm not sure how he came up with that name. Maybe he said in the live and I missed it. If you know, then let me know. But nevertheless, really cool design. And here is another one, which is called Linked Squares. So kind of similar-ish from the design, except here you have these linked circles, and here there are these linked squares. And again, really cool looks, and I just love it how it's kind of fits together, but at the same time it's also very unique and different. So I think these are really nice to have as well. And if you don't need these big stencils, if you're not so much into bigger cards or journals or so on, then you can also get these 3 stencils in one package, and then they're a little bit smaller. And these are great if you're just doing tags or artist trading cards or something like that, because then maybe you don't need this big design, and then you have the same format here a little bit smaller. But as I always say, it's always difficult to say, should you get the bigger one or the smaller one? because sometimes it just really depends on your use case. So here you would think, okay, great value, I can just fill the whole cart, but maybe then it's too big of a design, and maybe you just thought, I just want a little bit here and a little bit there, and then the smaller size would have been better. So always the same, it's very difficult to make any decision, and sometimes I think it's really good to have a variation of sizes. So definitely good to have all of these. So now let's talk a little bit about these that came in as well, that are a little bit older, but nevertheless, I believe they belong into any crafter's stash because they offer a lot of different looks. And if you like retro or grunge or vintage, then I would definitely recommend these. So they are just a little bit quirky and a little bit funky. So let's start with this one. This is called Entomology. And as it says, it has all these interesting butterflies, or not a butterfly, probably more like a moth, and these bugs. So I think they're like really fun. And if you don't like insects so much, then I would get the stamp set anyway, just because of this text, because I've seen this in so many makes in the past. This is just a really, really great scribbled stamp to have. So this is really good for mixed media designs. Next one up, let's do these ones because these are really fun as well. So I love these. I've seen them on YouTube so many times. There are really great artists out there who are doing mixed media things, and especially this one I see being used a lot, and it's called Glitch 2, and it has these big elements. And then there's also a similar-ish stamp set, which is called now Mini Glitch, and again it just offers you this cross again in a different size. So as I said before, sometimes it's just really difficult to know, should I get the bigger one or the smaller one? Because it always depends on the project that you have in mind. So I thought it's great that this kind of funky, quirky look, like this stamp here as well, is also again here, just a little bit smaller. So you have so much variety here. So I think this is really amazing to have. I love these. Then let's do the stamps first. This one, I believe, as Tim Holtz himself, this doesn't need any introduction. I think if you know Tim Holtz, then you've seen this stamp before, and it's called the Professor. And it's actually the Professor 2, because once again, there are like two different sizes of this guy. I believe the other one is a bit smaller, but I kind of thought here you get a really good variety of other stamps as well. This one, another really cool one, this is called Faded Type. And again, it's really great for things in the background. And there was a really interesting collaboration on Instagram a while back where Tim Holtz did a collaboration with Heidi Swapp, and they were talking about the Mink machine. And if you never heard about a Mink, it's this foiling machine, kind of like a laminator, but like specific for crafting. And Tim Holtz, he did these demonstrations with some of these stamp sets, and it had this foiled look afterwards. And so I thought this looks fun. So I bought a Mink machine myself and I tried this. And these are amazing for these kind of things that on purpose shouldn't look perfect. Another one that I love, I saw this stamp set being used by Vicky, and you can look at this tutorial right here where she's using that. And it's probably one of those stamp sets that's not very well known, called Etc. And I just think it's amazing because once again it has these vintage elements and it's very versatile. So I saw this used by Vicky many times in many different ways, and the outcome is really fun. So I think this is definitely a really nice stamp set to have. Then one more stamp set is this one, and it's called Ticket Booth. And as you can see, these are tickets. And yeah, lots of different ones. Here it says admit one. Here it also says admit one, but it just has a little bit of a different design. Then you have these bigger strips, and here it says transport buses. And then you have these smaller elements. And here it's one that says Market Square Theatre, and here it just says London, and here it says Paramount Theatre. And I think these are really fun, especially if you love journaling, because I see a lot of journals where people are always using different ticket designs, because once again, it's really nice to have in the background. Or you can also just stamp them down and cut them out, and then you can color them in. And last but not least, I thought this is also really good to have, because again, this is being useful for so many different things. This is the moon mask. And let me take this out to get a better look of all the things that are inside of here. All right, so here you have one mask where you can basically just ink around and then the inside stays covered. Or you can also use a full moon if you want some texture, and then again you get the outline of the moon. Or you could put this down and basically protect your background first, and then you can line this up and just maybe use a different color and just go in through here as well to give your background a different texture or different design. Or the other way around, maybe you already put this down and you thought, oh, now I want to do the outside, but I don't want to smush over the moon. Then you can just put this onto your design, like what you just did, and cover it. And now you can ink around and don't have to worry that the moon gets now like smushed up or anything like that. So you have this really big design, which is really fun. And then you have the smaller one, and then an even smaller one. So 3 different sizes with the mask and the moon for like different landscapes that you want to build. Like I love using this in combination with my Lavinia stamps, because they have a lot of scenery elements. So they have a lot of animals that look like a silhouette, and therefore you need some kind of light source behind either the sun or the moon, so that the silhouette of the animal makes sense. And therefore I love this, because this works really well together, especially because you get these 3 different sizes for this one. So I thought this is really good to have as well. So I hope this wasn't too boring for you, because as I said, Tim did already a fantastic job. And as per usual, I just love all these designs, because I think, yeah, the team from Stampers Anonymous in collaboration with Tim Holtz, they always come up with very unique and special designs. So I hope you like them as well. And yeah, let me know in the comments which of these products you enjoy the most. And with that, have a crafty day, and remember, no stressy, be messy and have fun. See you next time.